So last time we talked, Autumn Volkov, the heir of my legacy challenge, hosted her engagement dinner with her fiancée, Shanna Kealoha, in Henford-on-Bagley. Her younger sister, Renesmee Volkov, discovering that her soulmate, Zayden Kibo, is Shanna's brother, and her twin brother, Ezra Volkov, reuniting with his first friend and love interest, Mason Meshram. And though the day had already been eventful, Autumn wanted to keep the excitement going by asking her fiancée Shanna to have a science baby with her right now. Autumn wanted to be pregnant more than anything, and even though it may be a battle, considering she is infertile, she was ready to take it on. Shanna wasn't expecting this to happen today, but what's 2 or 3 days early, Shanna said yes to Autumn's proposal. So, it was settled. Autumn would be going to the hospital to have a science baby with Shanna. She would be impregnated and married all in one day. After getting impregnated with Shanna's DNA, she went ahead to her first trimester appointment, everything looking great, before running upstairs to tell Shanna the news. She told her that the impregnation was successful, and she was now pregnant with their child. Shanna was at a loss for words. Happy as can be, she was having a baby with her best friend, her soulmate, the love of her life. Thank goodness for science, especially because Shanna had no desire to ever be pregnant herself. But she knew how badly Autumn wanted this, and just loved seeing the excitement on her face. They were thrilled, talking about baby names, the nursery, if they would be a spellcaster like Shanna. And even though their wedding was just hours away now, they wouldn't dare sleep. Unfortunately, Shanna had to leave for home in a hurry because, well, God, what awful timing. She couldn't wait just one more day to croak. Wow, Edward hasn't even been a dad for a week and he's already rolling out the terrible jokes. And before heading to Henford-on-Bagley for her cottagecore wedding, Autumn finished some house tasks, like tending to her gigantic meat wall that I don't remember putting in this house, before staring at herself and her tiny baby bump in the mirror, ready to head out and begin her new life with her new little family with her soon-to-be wife, Shanna Kealoha. It was a beautiful, sunny summer day in Henford-on-Bagley's neighborhood of Old New Henford, an absolutely perfect day for a wedding. Ezra took some time to gather himself while the rest of Autumn's and Shanna's guests greeted the happy couple. Alexis took lots of selfies with Autumn, eager to capture this precious moment with her daughter. The rest of the guests began showing up, including Caleb Vitor, Mason Meshram, the Kibo brothers, and Lunwola Kibo. She just died and still managed to attend her daughter's wedding. The ceremony would soon begin. Ezra was having coffee alone at the bar while Autumn and Chris took some pictures. Things were changing for the Volkov family, and as much as he hated change, he knew he had to embrace it and be happy for his sister. So, even though he wanted to curl into a ball and cry, he sucked it up and made his way down the aisle to officiate his sister's wedding. Oh, and, before you ask, what happened to Rice Purity Test being the flower pal, Edward being the ring bearer, and Nicole being the maid of honor? You can thank Wedding Stories for that. Our brides shared a sweet moment together before making their way down the aisle with one another. Autumn, where are you going? Ah yes, it's just like Alexis's and Christopher's wedding. Nothing is working. Ezra is supposed to be officiating. Is that working? No. And Autumn and Shanna are supposed to be giving their vows. God, I hate this pack. I mean, at least the guests are sitting, with the exception being Edward. He is just so great at disappointing us, isn't he? After a couple of Sims hours of Autumn and Shanna staring soullessly into one another, they decided to switch places, and by some miracle, actually got on with their vows. and the crowd was eating it up, with the exception being Addison Chopra. Autumn had told her the same things she was currently telling Shanna. Perhaps she wasn't over what Autumn did to her as much as she thought she was. "You're switched places again. Literally, why?" They continued on with their vows, talking about how they were both so lucky to have found each other when they were just children, leaving Alexis and Chris in absolute shambles. And now the rings. And now, may I present for the very first time, Shanna and Autumn Kealoha. Bitch, I'm sorry. Wow, that was just as horrific as Alexis's and Chris's wedding was. Pass me that shit, Mason. I'm stressed. And it was on with the festivities. Autumn's pregnant, us eager to get a plate of food. Pregnant at her own wedding. She really is her mother's daughter. The Kealohas were as happy as can be, so madly in love. And the fact that they were the only two that knew about Autumn's pregnancy made things so much more exciting and intimate. They gained a new family dynamic. Jokesters. Or because now, they're actually family. My little lesbians. Alexis was still seated, doing some more thinking. Tomorrow is her birthday, meaning she will become an elder, and she will only have 14 days left to live. 14 days. She couldn't believe it, but she couldn't say that she hadn't lived a long, beautiful, fulfilling life. When she was young, she was lost, parading around San Myshuno, settling for any man that would give her money or woo her. But then she met Chris. She was so happy she and Chris were able to give Autumn and their children the lives they have. She was happy Autumn knew who she was and who she loved at such an early age. Autumn was truly blessed, and Alexis felt blessed to be the one chosen to be her mother. Addison and Shanna. This is such NPC level behavior. Autumn was breaking it down, and Ezra and Mason. Well, it looks like the two of them made up. The wedding had ended and most of the guests headed for home. Autumn and Shanna were still celebrating their love before heading to Tartosa for a quick overnight trip together. They couldn't take a honeymoon just yet due to the baby and Alexis's birthday, but they didn't need one. Now that they were married, they had all the time in the world. So they danced the night away while retirement home approached her brother-in-law and soulmate, Zayden Kibo. They hadn't spoken since prom, and she figured this may be her last opportunity to talk with him before he ages up tomorrow. She really didn't know what to say to him anymore, so all she did say was that she loved him, and that she hopes to see him around and that he takes care of himself. Though she wasn't giving up, she was going to have a little talk with Shanna to find out more about why Zayden is the way he is. Nicole was looking at the wedding arch, daydreaming about what her own wedding would be like. Caleb noticed her all by her lonesome, using this as an opportunity to say what was on his mind. Though they had only been together for a short time, Caleb knew how he felt about Nicole. He had been around for a very long time, and didn't want to make his heart wait any longer. Caleb Vitor just proposed to Nicole Volkov, and Nicole said yes. Nicole is getting married. Of course, Autumn would develop gestational diabetes. What a magical day. Alexis and Chris couldn't believe that two of their children were now married, and they had no idea that a third was engaged. This is what life was supposed to be like, surrounded by lots of family and love. Alexis would be eternally grateful to Chris for teaching her that, both in life and in death. And she would be dedicating her final weeks to showing Chris how much their life together meant to her.